What's going on, everybody? I'm Primalliquid and welcome to my guide for Atelier Ryza 3. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create absolutely the most overpowered, broken weapon possible for Ryza. And when I say overpowered, I mean this is the most overpowered thing in the series since the Terror Bomb in Atelier Ryza. It is that goddamn broken, okay? With this setup, you will be dealing over 1,000,000 damage without buffs, without debuffing, and on charismatic difficulty against, like, just anything, basically. So, how do we do it? First of all, okay, it is not going to be her final tier weapon. It is going to be the Mistral Cane. Now, this is a rather unique weapon in the fact that it does not unlock via SP. Instead, you get the recipe for this one of two ways. And I'm sorry, I cannot remember the exact way, okay? It is either a rare supply point that you need a super rare key for. Simply open up the supply point and this could have the recipe in it. Or it was from a normal quest, a normal character quest, like a normal NPC quest. It was one of the two. Unfortunately, both of them offer recipes, and I did not keep track of which recipe I got from what, so I do apologize for that. But you are not going to be creating this weapon until later on anyway. Then you are also going to need some water seeds. Now, these water seeds are actually a little bit specific, okay? The reason I say they are a little bit specific is that you need them to be essentially a very specific category. So right now, as you can see, I don't have the rare gather up effect on it, and it's also only an A rank. The reason for this is we need to gather some very specific traits from these water seeds. And we also need them to be a high level value. So that's why we've got trait level up XXL. The only problem is these traits will not appear with the completely upgraded seed. Now, unfortunately, I'm not sure if it's the actual seed rank or the rare gather effect that determines if you get this trait or not. So just to play it safe, I would suggest just going for the A rank water seed and also ignoring the rare gather. Once you've got these three effects, the high growth rate, the gather quantity up, and the trait level up, we can start. Simply go ahead, plant a bunch of the seeds, get the items, and then go ahead and start crafting the Mistral Cane. Now, we're going to use a Grand Organ for the initial ingot, simply due to the fact it gives us a massive stat increase, the highest tier ingot there is. Then we are going to be forced to dump a White Shell Pearl in the effect 2. Now, the effect 2 is completely useless, okay? We don't need that. So what we're going to do is we are going to link morph that, and we are going to change the effect entirely to item boost. And in order to do this, you do need an inverted scale. So we're going to throw the inverted scale in right now. Okay, so now that we've done that, all we need to do now is basically to boost the stats up and also get the other effects. So what we are going to do for these stats is we are going to dump a bunch of Grand Organs in, as many as we can. Now, I still have one quantity left right there. We're not done. Instead, press triangle and open up your secret key menu, and then you want to use the effect quantity up. This gives us extra quantity to allow us to dump more ingots into the item. Now, Quantity Up Al is the largest effect I have personally. However, I'm sure there is also an XL and an XXL version, but I have not actually seen it. I have created about 200 to 250 keys at this point, so maybe there is, maybe there isn't, I don't know. But at the very least, Quantity Up Al is still a thing. So we can dump an extra 3 ingots in now. So we'll go ahead, dump those ingots in. And now we've got our base weapon, okay? We've got our base weapon and our base stats. Ignore the traits. We're going to completely change them in a minute. Likewise, we're going to change the super trait as well. So there's the Mistral Cane created. And now we are going to rebuild this Mistral Cane. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the water category, okay? And then we are going to filter by traits. What we want here is risk boost fire and risk boost ice. We needed the water seeds to get these traits. Now the problem here, okay, is these traits cannot be put on anything else, okay? You can only put these on a weapon. So you can't put them on an ingot or a philosopher's stone and dupe them over and over to get them to max level. Instead, you have to get them as high level as possible, so we can just add them in like this. So right off the bat, we now have risk boost fire level 50. That's going to give us an extra 50% weapon damage, okay? It is going to be huge. Well, sorry, it's going to give us an extra 50% fire damage. And the best item in the game for Ryza is fire and ice element. So we also want to do the. Same for ice. We want to completely boost that all the way up. So right now we have risk boost fire and risk boost ice all the way up to level 50. That means the item that we are going to be using with Ryza is now going to have an astonishing 100% extra damage. This means we're going to do over 1,000,000 damage incredibly easy, okay? Now all we have to do is simply max out the item. So we're just going to go ahead and drop a philosopher's stone in each category just to max everything out. Okay. So at this point, we've got risk boost ice and we've got risk boost fire. Now, the third trait is a little debatable on what you want to use. I'm personally going to use Lone Wolf Spirit just for a little bit more AP generation when attacking. It will make her a little bit weaker, but if you want to, you can use something like Stat Charge ++, or you could also use, you know, something like Flammable, which boosts fire damage further, or you could use something else that boosts another element. Unfortunately, that is incredibly difficult to transfer via this trait path, so I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to use Lone Wolf Spirit just because it makes things a little bit easier. However, we're still not done. We've got all our traits, but now we need a super trait. So super traits only come from a base material, okay? What this means is you can't transfer here, for example, I've got Ultra Skill on a Cremonea. We cannot transfer that to another synthesis item, okay? Super traits can only be passed on from a base gathered material. So if I create an ingot with a super trait, I cannot pass that super trait on to anything. But if I was to use, say, you know, this water, this ancient blue water, I could transfer the super trait over. Zero impact obviously won't, because that is not for a weapon. So what we're going to do is we're going to filter the super traits right now, and the one that we want is going to be Ruxosha, okay? Now, that's not, I don't have that available in water, that's fine, so we'll go over to magical instead. Where are you? Ruxosha, there it is. So we're going to filter by Ruxosha, and now, as you can see, I can add that in. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're just going to drop that in, and now we're done. We're going to go ahead and synthesize that weapon. The traits we're going to use is going to be Risk Boost Fire and Risk Boost Ice. This is going to give us a massive damage increase in exchange for just lowering our resistance. That's fine. Everything's going to die in one turn. It's like, it doesn't matter how weak we are, it's all going to die. And then we can use Lone Wolf Spirit, which reduces magic resistance by 1 level, but it does increase AP gained from normal attacks. Now, honestly, right now, before the DLC comes out, this is completely pointless. Nothing survives 1 turn, even on charismatic difficulty, okay? So if you want to, you could use Stats Charge ++ for a little bit of extra stats, or you could use Attack and Speed Charge ++ for some extra speed and attack. It's entirely up to you. Now, I'm going to use Lone Wolf Spirit, just because, you know, we can basically, but if you want to, you know, feel free to use status charge and so on and so forth. It's entirely up to you. There doesn't really seem to be a best in case scenario for this, so, you know, it's entirely up to you. So we're just going to use Lone Wolf Spirit. Super trait is Ruxosha, which greatly increases damage but decreases all resistances. As you know, we are pretty much a glass cannon right now just from that. But we are not done, okay? We are not done with that weapon just yet. So right now, we need to duplicate another item, because I unfortunately didn't prepare this ahead of time. What we are also going to need, okay, is we are going to need a perfect mystic robe. This is going to be for the refinement process. So once you've made a mystic robe and got all the effects on that, we're going to go over to the reinforcement area. We're going to select the Mistral Cane that we just made, and then we're going to filter by effect granted, okay? We are going to first look for the 4-color feather XL effect. This is going to increase fire, ice, bolt, and air elemental damage. We're going to select that. And then we are also going to use the Unchanging effect when I actually find it. Unchanging 4. This comes from an ancient book. Doesn't matter which one you use or anything like that. This is going to increase core item damage and grants additional AP when using a core item. That last part, not really that important, but the core item damage is. Now, we already had 2 effects on this item right now, so we cannot add any more effects. Instead, it is time to add stats. Now, unfortunately, with this weapon, I don't know what's going on, but no matter what you try and add, you are always going to lose attack, really. For this weapon in particular, the best thing to add is speed. So we're just going to go ahead and add a rock slosh just to give us some extra speed on the Mistral Cane, and we are going to confirm that as well. Then we simply have to go back and re-choose the traits, and the weapon is now complete. So why is this the weapon in question? Well, let's go ahead and just equip that, shall we? And I will tell you. So there's the one that I just made. So the reason we are going to use this, okay, is Anti-Material XL drastically increases the power of items, but it also increases the CC cost by 1. We've got 10% extra item effect right there because we did change the original effect. We boost elemental damage further and core item damage, and then the traits are obviously just a massive damage increase. Now, the reason we are going to be using this item in particular, okay, is because the Zwei Resonance is by far the strongest item in the game. It is incredibly, incredibly damaging, even more so than Cross Judgment. So this is the one that we are going to boost the most. If you want to, though, you can make a second Mistral Cane with Risk Boost Lightning and Risk Boost Air, and then you could also use the Cross Judgment with that. Now, let's go ahead and just go and see how much damage we actually do with this, shall we? And as you can see, I am on charismatic difficulty. So we're just going to get into a random fight. It doesn't matter what, and we are simply going to attack. Now, one thing I will say is my Ryza is not perfect right now. I have not made her accessories yet. So this damage is going to get even higher. Not only that, we are not boosting damage with a key modification, and this enemy resists the Zwei Resonance. So, let's go ahead and use the actual attack, shall we? And see just how much damage this does. So one enemy, boom, 223,000 damage. One enemy, 200,000 damage. And like I said, we can massively, massively boost that even further once I have my Ryza accessories done as well. I'm missing a huge amount of damage, but that is enough to one-shot everything in the game, okay? That is already enough to one-shot everything in the game, other than a couple of bosses. But even those couple of bosses, they only have less than a quarter of their health remaining. But though, guys, that is going to be it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I really hope it has helped. If you have, then please be sure to smash that like button, and of course drop a comment down below. Let me know the first thing you are going to nuke into nothingness with this weapon. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I have tons and tons of guides coming for Ryza free that you absolutely will not want to miss. As always, though, everybody, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.